Yo. 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 Yo.
All right. Welcome back to Two Shades of Grey, guys. Today we're joined here with Rahul, one of our classmates and friends here at Waterloo. Rahul, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Rahul Dominic. I am a 3A computer science student at the University of Waterloo. That's pretty much it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. All right. So today's topic will be about what David is drinking right now. David, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking some fresh, gourmet,
Oh,
clean, Waterloo area
tap water.
water.
Yeah. So the dilemma here is that a lot of people just drink water, they use water, and they waste water. And I think that that's just wrong because a lot of people just don't realize that water is an important resource and that, you know, even like by doing dishes, so much water is wasted, or by taking showers, so much water is wasted, right? Living in Morocco when I was younger, I was able to see very dry areas and dry lands, and that made me realize that, hey, like water is not something to be wasted. So how can we convince people to not waste as much water in Canada, say, when it can affect places like Mexico or India or Morocco, say?
Or even here, like,
Or
because
here as
also,
well.
like, you know, when you use more water, it's using more energy. First of all, so like the requirements to, like, filter it, you know, to pump it. The more you use, then like the more supply you need.
Yes.
Like that, I mean, like then again, does it go to then like do we have to convince people why like using a lot of energy is bad? Because like I don't know if that's common knowledge or not. Like, do people just not realize that, or it's just like, where do we even begin with kind of talking about like, okay, why should we conserve water?
What do you think, Rahul?
So I think that, we kind of live in a bubble where we are being on a university campus. People are kind of more heavier on the side of being environmentally conscious and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that people understand that you need to conserve water, but I don't think that people understand the magnitude of the water crisis.
Yeah.
So, for example, Cape Town in South Africa, like a couple of months ago, they actually had a day zero.
Yes.
So what that means is that was the first day where they would start rationing out water to their citizens. Water would not be out of the taps anymore. You wouldn't get it to your house. You need to stand in line, fill your bucket, and then leave.
Yeah.
So when the news came down and they started the countdown for how many days left, so what people did was they realized that, wait, we can't do this now.
Yeah.
So slowly, people started changing their behavior. They would use less water, waste less water, and that day would be pushed back.
Yes.
It pushed back by a month, and then 2 months, and then
I think it was a year that it was pushed to in the end.
at the end, right now, it's pushed out indefinitely.
Okay, yes.
People actually learned to conserve water. And coming back to your point, one of the biggest things about being vegan, right, why people say that veganism is good for the planet, is because it takes a lot of water to process meat. So the water that we get on the planet that is drinkable and accessible, granted the accessibility varies a lot everywhere else.
Yeah.
So that's drinkable and accessible is probably like 0.1% or something that we can pull up.
Yes.
So that means it's fresh water and it's in a zone that's accessible. So although Canada has so much water and it has like an abundance of resources, other areas like Africa that we were just talking about,
Asia,
and Singapore,
right?
like not just developing countries, developed countries like Singapore, they have no fresh water sources. They're forced to import water from other countries, and they're not the only ones. They're the only successful ones that we can think of.
Yes.
But so they have a serious problem there, and they spend a lot of money on desalinization.
Oh yes.
Because they were super smart.
Oh yeah.
When the country was just up and running, someone signed a 100-year lease for super cheap water from a neighboring country.
Really?
And that 100.
Do you know what country that is?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but that 100-year lease is going to end soon. So they need to start picking up.
yeah.
So places like that, and even from India, where I'm from, when like 50 years ago, I hear from my parents that when you like we rely a lot on underground water. Right where I live, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu are two neighboring states,
Yeah.
and we have a single river flowing between them. The water first goes to my state and then to the other. So we have dams.
Yeah.
So what's happening is that the downstream state, once we consume the water, they have a dearth of it. So there's always been
Political issues.
political
and,
issues
yeah,
and stuff between the two
between
states.
that, yeah.
But what they did is they made rainwater harvesting mandatory for every single house.
Really?
And, yeah.
Okay.
And that led to a huge amount of alleviation on the water crisis. So it's not that we can't do it. We really
It's possible,
can.
yes. It's just that, people need to be
Yeah.
aware of that and they need to
Yeah.
do something about it.
Yeah. And where I am, like groundwater from my city used to be found at 50 feet.
Yes.
Now it's like 250, 300 feet.
Yes. Yeah.
Bangalore is supposed to be one of the next cities by like 2030 to run out of water.
Really? Bangalore.
So it's actually a big crisis that's happening right now.
Jeez.
And people just don't realize it.
I know that like a really big problem in North America is with Mexico.
Yeah.
Because Mexico is, especially in the north side of Mexico near the border with the US,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of beer production plants, right? And they need a lot of water, and most of
Yes,
that
yeah.
water comes from the Colorado River, which is now like not there's not as much water flowing through it,
Mm-hmm.
and so there have been a lot of political issues with the U.S. and Mexico. Who gets what part of the river? How does it work? And like even in Mexico, you will be able to find. Well, I think it was in City of Mexico and a few other cities. You could find groundwater like within 20 or 30 meters. Like now, just so much more, right? So it's so much
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah.
Um,
And like, I mean, so I've always lived in Canada. I've always been pretty lucky just to always
Yes.
have like water, never have any issues with that. But it's easy to forget that water is a finite resource. Like it can dry up if we use too much. Then like there could be a
drought.
drought when it comes
Yeah.
back. It might not come back into like the same area. So I mean, like I've always kind of thought about it, like, okay, you know what? I know, like, I mean, right now, I'm not really worried about like our like reservoirs and like all of our sources going dry
Sure.
now. But like
Yeah.
in the future, it could if we're using way too much.
Exactly.
And then it kind of like then the amount that we have goes
Yes.
down. Then it's not necessarily going to ever recover in like a timely manner.
Yeah.
In a way that we could then use it for everything that we use. And like water usage is fucking insane.
Yeah.
Beat that out. I don't know if that's
Yeah. I mean, like, okay, on average in Canada, people use 330 liters of water a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
330, that's
just
so
like,
much,
and then
right?
just with food, like I mean,
Well, yeah,
as
like
you mentioned,
that
like,
includes
meat
everything,
and
like
just,
food.
yeah, so food
showers.
just people
Yeah.
like running the water all the time when like they're doing their
Exactly.
dishes. Like
yeah.
again, it won't necessarily run out now, but there's like, I mean, an immediate issue is like the energy that is
Yeah.
required to like filter it and then bring it to your pipes.
Exactly.
Use it to heat it.
Yeah.
To and then it's just, but also it's just like if you think about it in the future, like I honestly think soon enough there will be wars over these resources like water.
Yeah, it would be
for, like,
the next gold. It's called the blue
like,
gold,
yeah.
right? For a reason.
And I mean, so it's like when people are in a situation where like they have to ration their water, then again they're kind of forced to do that. But like for someone who's privileged, like in like a Canadian, how would you convince them to like think about the future? To say, hey, look, you shouldn't be using that. Like, or let's say they had, and like let's say they would never run out.
Yeah.
Would there be like a compelling argument to say like, look, then you can like ship that, or like you can maybe sell it for like a cheaper price to other countries that need it, that don't have such like a ready access to water?
I mean,
would
if-
that ever like convince people, or
I
are we
think
just too selfish for that?
I think that the convincing part of it needs to start with the sense of urgency. It comes back to the thing that we were talking about in
Yes.
Cape Town. Like Canada might not run out of water anytime
Sure.
soon, but what's going to happen is that at some point they will have to start exporting. Places that have an abundance
Yeah.
will need to start exporting to places
Yeah.
that have a dearth.
Because they just simply won't be able to like
Yeah.
sustain without it.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think it totally makes sense, and right now it's just that the water bottle companies and all of that are taking advantage of the fact that it's in abundance in Canada, filling up here and then distributing at much higher margins
Right.
everywhere
Oh
else
yeah,
in the
they
world.
would make a lot of money.
So I think that's one of the big that would actually help bringing out awareness, especially in college towns, about
The usage of water.
the international dearth of water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like we actually have a doomsday clock.
Oh, yeah?
For the whole
For water?
planet. No, for the whole planet, saying that based on how the human civilization is going right now.
Yes.
Assuming that the whole time of the earth is 24 hours.
Yeah.
That human life is 24 hours.
Yeah.
How much time do we have left? And we have about 3 seconds left.
No way.
Pull it up. It's called the Doomsday Clock.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I've come across that. It's
Wait. So
Yeah.
it
sad,
says.
It was like down to 1 second when the Cold War was happening.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like this close.
Okay. So if it
and then
was
it's
like 24 hours,
Yeah.
then we're like 3 seconds away from actually like.
Yeah, something like that.
dying.
But it's seconds away for sure. So, and coming back to your point about wars being fought over water, I can't really disclose who told me this, but I know someone who was working in one of the. He was basically a chef in one of the government bodies of some developed country, and he was sitting and he was serving food that day, and then two people, foreign affairs ministers, were
Yeah.
sitting and having a discussion about the Saddam Hussein
Oh yeah.
invasion thing that the US did.
Mm-hmm.
So that was happening right now, and one of them was trying to gain support of the other. And like one of the sentences that stood out were, "Let's be real. We know that this war is being fought over oil, but what we really do know is that the next war is going to be fought over water."
Yeah.
These guys knew about this like 20 years before.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, whoever's really at the top knows like what the big deal will be in like 30 or 40 years, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
And I mean, even just about waste in general, like there's this thing called entropy, and so the more we use energy to like reuse water and clean it and everything, the less energy we'll have, and
That's true.
we don't have unlimited energy.
Yeah.
So if we want to save water, then we'll also save energy. So it's really a win-win, and I honestly don't think that that it's a big deal for people to like
Yeah.
close the tap when they wash or like take shorter showers.
I just think but for there to be like mass change, you can give people as compelling arguments as you want, and you will never see mass change. Like
you need something like
Just
Cape
here-
Town,
yeah,
like something
like the
that
clock.
yeah.
but it's like there needs to be like, or there need to be policies. They're just sometimes like I'm not advocating for there to be conflict or like that we have to like ration water, but
Sure.
it's just sometimes like those that's just naturally when people have the most
Yeah, and we have
extreme
evidence
change.
for it, like exactly
So it's like
in Cape Town.
I just feel so like cynical, kind of, where it's like people just don't really care about.
That's why
all the
people
other
need to start
people.
caring.
It's really, but then again, it's like, how do we achieve that, right?
You need
I don't know.
You need the government to do something, and when
Yeah.
would the government do
But
something?
so
When
then-
there's a push from the people, right?
I don't feel like it's that this is the right space for the government to intervene. Like I think it's just
About water?
yeah. I don't think that this awareness and stuff needs to necessarily be government driven.
It shouldn't be, but then people wouldn't do it otherwise.
Yeah, because I think that there needs to be
I
a
don't
way to
think
like
so.
facilitate it. But well, I mean, because there are like incentives, right? Like people pay hydro bills, and they don't
So-
want to always have like some like hot water running. But
So let's look at this.
If-
Like in this building, right? It's a massive building. It's a 22-story building, and our hydro's included in our rent, right? That may be a good thing for us, but that also means that we can say that we're going to use how much ever water we want.
and then it'll never change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like, it would be nice to say that, okay, make sure that the government puts in a law that says you can't include hydro bills in rent and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But really, do you want the government to be intervening that much in every single aspect of your life? I feel like, for example, the
I wouldn't
vegan
want to.
movement. Yeah, you wouldn't want it.
Yeah.
So, like the veganism movement and stuff like that, it started to take rise and to take hold in a lot of different parts of the world,
Yeah.
including Canada, for good reasons, because it
course.
has a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
And I think that water is one aspect of that, and I think that awareness just needs to spread a lot more, not just in developing countries, but also in developed countries.
Yeah.
And I think that the educated or rather the more affluent or learned areas of the country needs to actually push this, which are the universities.
Yeah.
And the more, the bigger corporations and stuff like that. They did try a whole bunch of things, like with respect to emissions. The UN did try the whole carbon taxing thing.
Yeah.
And that really didn't play out.
Yeah, it didn't really work out.
Yeah, it didn't really work well. So I think that it's just going to be the people who push it more, because you increase hydro bills, people are going to be pissed off.
Yeah,
They're not going to
definitely.
understand why, right? So I think it's going to be more a grassroots movement of people actually
Understanding
pushing
why.
for.
So like
Yeah.
it should be something that's pushed through education, for example,
Yes.
like through schools.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
I was about to mention that well, there are I did my education here in Ontario, and they always kind of stress okay, you gotta be conscious about your energy usage, water usage. Here's a vague idea of as to why, and I feel like that's definitely a huge reason for why I'm pretty conscious about how much I'm using. I don't want to always leave it running when I'm washing my dishes. I like taking one of the reasons why I like taking cold showers is because I feel like I'm definitely doing at least
link
a
in the
little
bio
bit to help. And I know when we were talking about cold showers, does it help that much? But I mean, maybe in the grand scheme of things it doesn't. But if everyone did that, it would definitely build.
It will
up.
make an impact.
But
definitely.
Yeah, it's the education is definitely a huge part, and it's the government is kind of a manifestation of the people, right? I mean,
It should be at least. It
at
should
least
be.
here it is.
Yeah.
So if there was a party that wanted to get elected, we're gonna increase, hydro, or we're gonna facilitate that with some sort of green bill, then people have to be on board with that.
Of course.
To get them to elect them, because
Let's do it.
Otherwise, how else would they?
The water party.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is the
Green party.
Green Party, but
Yeah.
I mean, they're a different story.
Yeah.
Taking a slightly different angle of it, what everyone can do, private organizations, this buildings management, for
Yes.
example, they can say, okay, we'll take care of hydro for you, but if you prove that you can use less water,
Yes.
we'll charge you at rate
Yes.
or something.
Which
like
is
that.
better. Yeah,
which is
incentives
better.
like that.
They still take care of it for us, but we pay them for it.
Yes.
So something like that, or even on campus, the faucets that are being used are very wasteful.
Really?
If you go to MC,
Yeah.
which is a math and computing building, it's this big basin. You step on
And then-
this lever.
Oh,
everything
yes,
Everything
yes.
freaks out.
Yeah.
I really don't like that.
It's pretty annoying.
Yeah, and that, and even with showers, right? If you have proper faucets that throw out smaller water droplets,
Yes.
it'll still give you the same cleaning effect, but it'll use lesser water.
Yes, and you'll still feel
And
as
you get more pressure.
really. Oh yes, of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
So honestly, it's just things like that people can do.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
perhaps we don't have to go to the government level, and it can be done at a smaller scale.
Exactly.
maybe.
Yeah, by influential organizations.
Yes, without having anything enforced, but rather with the incentives.
Yeah.
And
help
but
that.
these are very intense lifestyle changes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are certain stats
I
it's
mean,
just-
not that like showering, it's
Okay,
just
but,
a little change
all of
in
that,
habit,
so,
or washing your
but-
hands or teeth.
I would say that what we eat has the biggest
Yes,
impact
that's true,
on
yes.
our water
Sure,
usage.
yeah.
So we can save as much water by
Yes.
okay, I'm just gonna okay, water.
Yeah.
But in the end, if you're eating food,
A lot of meat,
that's
yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
that just
Yeah.
trumps that.
Yeah.
It's 90+% of your water usage. So that to me is a huge
Yes.
change.
Yeah.
And
For another
again,
episode,
yeah, and
but
that is
yeah.
another
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
But it's just if you want to convince people to make such a huge change, it's definitely not easy. Even
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
education, it has to be a fundamental way that
Yes.
people view life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Their worldview needs to change.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes that needs drastic measures.
I agree.
Whatever those are, I'm not sure. I don't know how what's the best way to achieve that. I wish I could answer that. But we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Another
Some other
episode.
time. Yeah.
But,
Yeah, that conversation definitely needs to
Yes.
happen.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
one of the biggest things that I noticed when I came here is that in India, you have a lot of vegetarian food and you have a lot of non-vegetarian food. So the funniest thing to me when I came here is that people say, "There's no meat in this. This is
Yeah.
not a meal."
That's
I can't have
ridiculous.
this.
That's
yeah.
ridiculous.
And again, it just shows
Yeah.
just what it
It's all about
happens.
culture.
It
It's just
happens.
about culture. Yeah. and habit, and yeah, these things can be changed if there's a reason, right, for
Yeah.
people to change. So ultimately,
But
that's what it is.
even if there's a reason, sometimes it just doesn't happen because it's very hard to change. People.
It is. Behavior
So-
is hard.
It is, but yeah. Well, anyways, this is our view on water. We do think that the consumption should be reduced through education or through influences from other corporations or entities. Let us know what you guys think. If you agree or disagree, if you want to waste a lot of water, if so, why? Why don't you want to reduce your consumption? Let us know in the comments.
If you have any feedback, please let us know. And thank you, Rahul, for
No problems.
coming on. Leave
Yeah.
a like if you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And subscribe, guys, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye,
See ya.
guys.